Hello and welcome back to Underhaven. We'll be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Julian, the guy on the left, has discovered the mysterious new individual on the right. Prior to that, though, they had a party where we met more or less the majority of the cast, including Amir, who is lamenting the fact that his ports, which are like those little circle things that you see behind on the back of Julian's back, which allow them to interface with the majority of what of everything technological in this world, I guess. And considering that they don't work, that they were botched when they were installed, it kind of means that he's unable to do anything. And I believe that he also has chronic pain because of it, I think. And aside from that, he also has a partner who is missing. They seem to have gone missing. I'm not sure if I'm misremembering it, but it was something like around the wall or something. We also saw that Julian almost kicked the bucket while they were at work because their boss was pushing them and pushing them and pushing them, and it kind of overloaded their, I guess you could say, brain. And if it wasn't for one of the coworkers pulling them out, they would have kicked the bucket. So yeah. And the boss was acting like, oh no, it's not my fault. He should have been able to pull himself out. Like, oh my god, we don't need to bring HR into this. Yeah. What else? I think that's mostly what we saw. I believe that we will be introduced formally to this new character that we see right there in the middle. Yeah. I mean, without revealing too much about them, then yeah, you know. Yeah. Anyways, so what else? I think that's it. So without further ado, let us continue Underhaven. Or heaven, I guess. Whatever. I dreamed like cavernous stone, still and perfect. The things I once was are no more. All is peaceful now, all quiet and all unmoving. Pain and desire are denied their domain at last. But even stone in time may shift. Outside me something stirs. The muddied waters of the world above will be denied no longer. They carve through me, swelling the listless rivers within to flow anew. The things of that world, its drowning loudness, its ceaseless, maiming turbulence, its pitiless and sharpened light, all of these things I had gladly surrendered. I am stone no more. I am returned to flesh, blind and scared and grasping amid the unseen currents. Scourged and weak, there is only one path upwards. I reach, unthinking. Water. From where? I'm too weak to stir, just able to extend my tongue. It flicks weakly across the upper lip, sodden and beaded with moisture. It's unpleasant, chalky and chemical. Ah, who could forget the bitter rain of Megiddo? Beneath it lies something else, coppery and vile. I am aware of myself as an indistinct cloud of ashes. Each ragged breath returns the shapes of my body to me. I shift, my paw brushing against some rough texture. A cushion? Guys, he's waking up. My eyelids stick together. I reach up to wipe them. They recoil and wince as white-hot bolt of pains shoot down my arm. What the fuck happened to me? My other arm is shaky and unsteady as I reach up to clear my vision. I'm surrounded. I try not to panic, even as I can feel my breathing quickening. Well, you're either very lucky or very unlucky. Hard to say if you would bleed out if Julian hadn't found you, but I wouldn't bet on those odds. bark. Jesus, he literally just woke up. Hey, are you alright? You were hurt pretty bad. My mouth doesn't obey me. I swallow, the sensation dry and unpleasant. Back up. Give him some space. Shit, right. Where am I? Why does that elk look familiar? Well... You're on our couch, man. It sounded like you got roughed up or something. Open your arm right up. It was pretty rough looking. Somebody bit a chunk out of you? I try to recall. There's a sudden vertigo when I find nothing. I should be able to answer that question. Sorry, I don't know. Don't recall much. Don't know what would have done this. I glanced down at my arm as I try and fail to sit up. Jesus, they weren't kidding. The elk steps forward as he sees me fall. Here, let me... I'm fine. I'm not. But I grit my teeth and slowly struggle upwards anyways, the world lurching nauseatingly as I force myself to sit up. I can barely lift my head, so I rested back against the couch cushion to look at my... rescuers? Seriously though, you don't know? Look, if you're on something, it's cool. We're not cops. The edges of my lips quirk upwards. Good to know those muscles still work, I guess. Me neither, but I really don't remember. I mean, hey man, if you don't want to talk about it, just say so. I'm not lying. It comes out more forceful than I intended it to. I sigh, rubbing my forehead. Sorry, I'm trying to be helpful, but I don't know. Well, you don't seem like you're on anything. You're too lucid to be blackout drunk that recently. Your pupils aren't blown out. I would guess something medical, with that gown that you're wearing. But... that what? I look down. I'm dressed in one of those disposable gowns that they wheel you off to surgery in. What the hell? I don't know what this is. I don't know where I came from. There was a note of growing panic in my voice. I tamped down on it, forcing my arms to my laps rather than wrapped around my body to protect me from these strangers. Hey, you've been through a lot. Can I get you some water or something? I peer at him closely. I feel that nagging familiarity again, something coming back to me. Wait. My God. Julian? Is that you? His expression freezes. I see flashes of familiar emotion, confusion, then a spark of recognition, and then utter shock. Wait, Ashley? I wince, less internally than I wanted to. Didn't need that right now. It's just Ash these days. It's not exactly hard to notice my deeper voice or leaner torso. He opens his mouth and then closes it without speaking, visibly struggling to reorient himself. A moment later, he finds his words. Got it, sorry. It's fine. Though, about that water. If you got painkillers or anything, I'd be grateful. I've got it. One sec. The cougar scratches uncertainly behind his ear as the wolverine heads off. Wait, hold up. Y'all know each other? Yeah, I mean, God, yeah. We've known each other since we were kids, but it must be, what, 8 or so years since we've talked? 8 years. Something about that bothers me. but it gives me a foothold, something to start finding myself with. 8? It hasn't been that long, has it? 7 or 8 maybe. Closer to 9 if anything. Here. He sets a glass and some capsules on the coffee table. It's cool to the touch, and I realize that I'm thirsty. Appreciate it. The first sip of cold water is life-giving. As I swallow the pills, I try to do some mental math. It takes some effort, but the effort itself and the water feel like they sharpen me. No, it's only been about 6. It was, what, early junior year of high school that me and Dad ended up moving? Right, so 8 years. That he's managing to mess up such basic math annoys me. No, it isn't. Count again. Yeah, it's 8. My brow furrows and I run through it again. It's not. Ash. What day is today? It's, I don't know, late May-ish? What year? 2247? So we were both supposed to be class of 2242. 1 year before that was 2241, 7 minus 1 is 6, like I've been saying. No, Ash. It's February 5th, 2249. That statement careens cleanly off my skull, my mind refusing to accept it. But it's still hanging in the air a moment later, the 4 of them staring at me and the expression on my face like I've completely lost my mind. That's... Well, never mind about being lucid. Lark! I'm just saying. Oh, holy shit, dude. This... He's gonna need... Their voice swells around me and starts running together. I can feel myself teetering on the brink, threatening to fall back somewhere terrible and empty. I grit my teeth. My claws nearly pierce my palms. I muscle through it. I won't let them see me like this. Hey. Do you have a shower that I could use? I feel like I got dragged through a garbage dump. Yeah, all the bedrooms, just use mine. 2nd floor, end of the hall. Thanks. I move to stand. The room whirls. Julian catches me as I stumble. Ash, are you... I'm fine. I feel lightheaded. My heart is pounding almost painfully in my chest. I'm not sure if you're fine. Just a little uneasy. Look here, let me just... I'm too worn out to protest as he gets his arm around my torso to support me. It's at least something to lean against. He's warm. You good? Think so. Come on, one step at a time. His bulk makes it a bit awkward to move 2 abreast up the stairs. Slowly we manage. We turn the corner up on the upper landing and he ushers me into his room. I manage to at least mostly walk under my own power. I don't glimpse much more of his room than a few framed prints, pre-Exodus vintage stuff, some nature shots, before we make it into the bathroom. He helps me sit down, still clothed, on the toilet. It takes a minute to catch my breath. Are you, sure that you're good to shower? We don't have a bath, but... Last thing that I want is to stew in all of this. I'll shower sitting if I have to. He doesn't seem too certain about that. I keep from snapping at him, but God, I want to be alone right now. He seems to take that hint. Alright, just please shout if you need anything, okay? I'll see about finding you some clothes. That sounds good. And thanks. It's nothing, really. He departs, shutting the door behind him. I turn the handle to start the shower, then sit heavily on the toilet as I am finally alone. Whatever this gown I'm wearing is, it gets crumpled up and tossed to the corner. I rest my forearms on my thighs. This doesn't make any sense. People don't just forget 2 years and then wake back up. That doesn't happen. I could eat, but I'm not hungry. So I must have eaten recently. I must have been eating for the last 2 years. My hackles raise. My claws dig into my palms. They've been growing. My fur's been growing. From what? My own body is suddenly and uncomfortably alien. A wave of nausea washes over me. Was I scavenging somehow? Was I held somewhere? Forced to feet? I slip through the toilet to the floor, turning and gripping the seat just in time as I retch. I'm able to keep from fully vomiting, but what little fluid I disgorge burns the back of my throat as I do my best to spit it out. Some part of me almost tries to push for it, as if I might find some sort of answers staring back at me afterwards. I squeeze my eyes shut, feeling cold sweat on my back. Water. I need water. I shift unsteadily to my feet, leaning down to cup water from the sink and then spit the vile taste from my mouth. I take a few gulps of clean water afterwards before shutting off the tap and leaning against the sink. I then make the mistake of looking up. Jesus. No wonder Julian was so concerned. I look like shit. No. Worse than that, I look pathetic, feeble, helpless, and weak. Easy to take pity on. Are those eyes really 2 years older? They don't look any different to me. And yet my gaze strays downwards. The scars beneath my pectorals are thinner and fainter now. Any other time and I would have been happy, but everything about the situation comes washing in again, threatening to pull me under. This can't be happening. Except that it is. I strain myself trying to remember something, anything. I was lying down, wrapping myself in a blanket? No, a tarp. The recollection drifts from me before I can get anything concrete. God damn it. Deep breaths, Ash. Pull yourself together. Whatever this is, I'll face it. You're not going down without a fight. You're not going to give in. And you're not going to collapse and have a big weepy pity party on Julian's bathroom floor. So grit your teeth, harden the fuck up, and take this one step at a time. And the first step is going to be a shower. I turn up the heat on the water before taking a deep breath and stepping in. The heat scourges me and I welcome it, turning it higher still as I try to catch my breath. Head bowed, eyes closed, jaw wide, and panting raggedly, I let the spray pound against me. I slowly still the trembling in my treacherous limbs. Water runs down my body, cleansing me of unknown sediment. I stand still until it runs clear. Sometime later, I crack the door into Julian's room and end up wedging it against a neat pile of clothing just in front of the bathroom door. It looks close enough to my size. Solves one problem, I guess. There is also a spare interface. I slot that into the base of my skull before anything else. It's been factory reset. Strange that they can afford to just have a spare lying around, but that's not really the most urgent question that I have right now. The upper floor is eerily quiet as I step out into the hall. All of the bedroom doors are closed. It must be pretty late. I feel awkward standing around in a stranger's home. Maybe thinking of Julian as a stranger at this point is unkind. Then again, maybe it's not. It's been 8 years. The sounds of the TV from downstairs at least give me something to steer towards. I flip through the channels listlessly, but I'm not really paying attention. It's so much to take in all at once. Ash still being alive would have been a shock by itself. But on top of that, there's a missing memory, and well, the fact that he I correct myself, ashamed of not getting it right before realizing I'm not even sure, has changed. What happened? Where have they been? Are they okay? I don't know how to deal with it all at once. And I can't even imagine how they must feel. But I know that if I were in their shoes, I would want some answers. So here I am waiting for them, I guess, even though I should really be in bed by now. My ears twitch as I catch footsteps coming down the stairs. They look better, at least. Hey. Hey. An uncertain silence stretches out. Right, there's at least simple things that I can tell them. Sleeping arrangements. Look, I didn't exactly get the chance earlier, so, thanks. I don't know what happened, but it sounds like it could have been a hell of a lot worse if you hadn't found me. And also, thanks for the clothes. You've all been more than kind, and you don't owe me anything, so I should probably just get going. They can't be serious. What? Jesus, no. I mean, not that you can't. You can, obviously, but we all talk things over. If you're saying that you can't really remember the last 2 years, then you don't even know where to go back to. And besides that, you're hurt. It's not the comfiest thing in the world, but we've got the couch. You're welcome to crash here for tonight. Tomorrow morning, I figure that we can reach out to your dad. His expression darkens. No. Sorry, that's not an option. Wait, what? There's a story there, and it's obviously not one that they want to talk about. I pick my words carefully. Okay, in that case, the other idea was, well, that I can walk you to the clinic nearby? Maybe it's just my imagination, but they seem to bristle a bit at that. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I really know what's going on, but you're hurt, bad, and that's just your arm, besides the whole situation. I have the day off. It's no trouble, really. It takes them a moment, but they seem to ease a bit. That makes sense. And, thanks again. It's nothing. That same awkward silence descends again. There was a rough and jagged chasm of years between us in that small room. I'm not sure if I can say that I actually know the person in front of me anymore. They've clearly been through horrible things. Maybe things that I don't have any particular right to know. Is it just sentimentality to want to help them? Can I really say that I would do the same if they were a complete stranger? I don't know what it is that I'd hope for, but I can only take things one step at a time. We can talk tomorrow too. I'd like to catch up. It's been forever. But it's late. I guess it's a busy day tomorrow, so I'm probably going to head up. Let me know if you need anything. Will do. See you tomorrow, Ash. See you tomorrow. I get up from the couch, the stairs squeaking slightly under my bulk as I climb upstairs. There's really nothing to distract myself with as I turn in, and so I end up just laying in bed and staring at the ceiling. How much have things changed in just the last 12 hours? Maybe not that much if Ash ends up moving on quickly. It might all just be a strange one-off incident, nothing more than a good story once the shock has worn off. Somehow, I don't think life will be so simple. But for some reason, that fact doesn't bother me as I begin to drift off. That night, I dream of rain. The sun is still ascending towards the roof of the Dove when we start walking over to a nearby diner that Julian swears by. He recommends that hash browns. It's his street, not that there's any alternative. I managed to access my account since slotting the secondhand interface. It doesn't look like I mysteriously made my fortune while I was missing. Flat zeros across the board. At least the diner itself doesn't go too hard into the retro aesthetics. Always found that sort of thing depressing. How many decades have we spent intimidating a dead world, and not even most of it at that? Just a single cup of water drawn up from the ocean, sealed down here in the dark to grow stagnant. We slide into a booth in a quiet corner. I am more than hungry. I'm starving. I think that I'd kill someone for a stack of pancakes. But my arm's still fucked up enough that I wouldn't exactly be able to eat them without somebody else cutting them up. I get the breakfast burrito. Julian gets a plate of sausage, eggs, and, of course, hash browns. Pretty good coffee. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some actual coffee shops around here. But the coffee here is better than it has any right to be for the price. It's kind of a funny story. I asked the staff one time if there was anything that they put in it. I feel like the flavor's just a little out there. But the guy that I talked to said that it just arrives here in cartons from corporate. He had no idea. Huh. Yeah. So, can we talk? Yeah. There's a lot that I'm curious about. Not just the last 2 years, but before that, when you originally went missing. I suck air in through my teeth. There's no squirming out of this one. I guess I owe you an apology. You guess? Well, what's the guess? Do you or don't you? That answer needles me, and I know that I'm being shitty before I even open my mouth. If you're going to be like that, then I don't. Be like what? Jesus Christ, I just want to know what happened. My best friend in the whole world moves away. He stops responding to anything that I send. I get worried enough to reach out to your family and then they say that you're just gone? Was I supposed to just not care? We held a funeral for you, Ash. That one bites deep and I probably deserve it. That image isn't hard to conjure, and I remember how he was back then. Poor Julian, too small for the other kids at first, and then too sensitive and too obviously gay even after he hits his growth spurt. But I'm realizing that the memory that I have of that quiet boy is very different from the full-grown man across from me, ready to point out when I'm being an asshole. Which is right now. I do owe you an apology for how things went down back then, and for being pissy about it just now. I can tell you what happened since then. I owe you that much. I just don't know where to start. Then start at the beginning. It's a tall order. I try to collect myself, drinking deep from, and then staring down into the black well of my coffee. I guess it all goes back to, I don't know if you really saw how things went with Mom getting sick. I mean, pretty bad from what I remember. Yeah, she was, out of it. So, of course, that was the focus for me and Dad. Why wouldn't it be? And of course, when she was getting worse, he focused on her more. Yeah, it kinda sucked being a bit of an afterthought, but, even as a kid, I got it, But after she passed, after we had to move down to the well, it was like he never really came back, never really noticed me again. But then a year later, 10 months. 10 months later, he remarried, and I still missed her and everything that I thought I had. His wife had kids. Dad loved her and loved her kids. And I was also there. Like a reminder. Like a ghost haunting the living. So yeah, I left. I'm not saying that it was right or smart. It was pretty fucking stupid considering how things turned out. But it's what I did. Oh, Ash. But why? Why did you stop answering? I would have helped. My folks would have helped. The answer slips out before I can stop it. Because I wanted to disappear. God, I don't know. Every way that I try to explain it, it sounds insane. It was like if I had already dwindled into nothing. I had to start over. I had to be somebody else, somebody completely new, no matter what it cost. And that was when I was, going through some gender stuff, which probably didn't help. I gestured down at myself. Guess you noticed? The edge of his mouth quirks slightly. I might have. Well, you always were sharp. There's something nearly approaching a smile. You know, is it offensive or anything if I say that I kinda see it in retrospect? Maybe, maybe not. But if it is, then just this once, I'll let it slide. That gets an actual laugh out of him. Okay, so what then? Then, I don't know. Bounced around, didn't finish high school, obviously. Had a few shitty jobs, sometimes had a home, sometimes was on the streets. Mostly that second one. Disappearing wasn't exactly as daring and as romantic as I thought it'd be. Mostly it just sucked. And by the time that I'd figured that out, it felt like too much time had passed. So, that's me, I guess. I am sorry, but it's been a ride. Jesus. I'm so sorry, Ash. I don't really know how to respond to that. I just end up nodding awkwardly. It is what it is. Sucks, but that's all years ago now. Even more years for Julian, I'm reminded with a tinge of nausea. I am as used to it as I'm gonna get. What about you? It's been forever. And, I want to know what you've been up to too. I'm almost a little surprised to find that I mean it. Well, not really as much to say by comparison, I guess. I finished up high school, mom and dad do pretty alright for themselves, but the Polytechnic was never going to be in the cards, obviously. I did at least end up staying another 2 years for my advanced studies certificate. Quantitative, you know, the usual. Should have just saved my money on that front, honestly. Didn't really open up as many doors that I thought that it would. So I bounced around jobs for a year or two, scraped together some savings. Between that, loans, and mom and dad helping, I ended up getting Gen 2s installed. My eyes widen. I'm not really sure why. It's about what I would have expected, given his background. Just something about that thought of him laying down on that operating table as they cut into him. Huh. So what do you do with them these days? I run sanitation drones. It's nothing too glamorous, but it's been steady work. I was actually looking for one that had gone dark when I found you. The reminder that he's the one that found me stirs some complicated feelings that I'm not ready for. Actually, about that. I did find that drone, the one that I was looking for, right near you. But it wasn't broken or powered down or anything. I can't really explain what happened or how it got there, besides some 1 in a million glitch. You're sure that you can't remember anything leading up to when we found you? Suddenly a flash of recollection. The dark of night, climbing that chain link fence with terrible certainty. With terrible intent. Oh, God. Yeah? Shit, no. I'm not going there with them. I really can't remember what happened. I'm sorry. Oh. My heart's pounding. Did he notice? Surely he didn't. Well, maybe you'll have some medical records the clinic can pull up. Looks like you were wearing a hospital gown or something. It was just a generic brand when I checked. maybe. Anyway, what about those other guys back at the house? You all seem pretty close. Oh, God, I guess you didn't even get their names, huh? Yeah, I think that they're all been around for at least a few years. Where do I even start? Oh, you mean Amir? Yeah, way back when I got the Gen 2s installed, we ended up being in some of the same physical therapy and rehab groups afterwards. We ended up hitting it off pretty well, and of course, we were both gonna work in the same area, so when we were both looking for housemates around the same time, it just made sense. Poor guy. He's had the most rotten luck of anyone that I know. He got messed up bad at work like a year and a half ago. Can't even use the Gen 2s anymore. Well, he said that he tried once out of desperation and just started seizing and vomiting immediately. Jesus. Yeah. God. I was so pissed at him after that. There's some lingering pain issues too. He has some pretty bad days, sometimes. Works as a cook at this bar nearby, while he's been fighting to get some kind of compensation for what happened. It hasn't been going great. The job or the fight? Either. And it's before the most recent stuff. You can thank him for the clothes. They were Derek's. Cat? Well, I mean, non-binary actually. Goes by they. But yeah, that'd be Lark. We met in the exchange around when I was doing my advanced certificate when, He glances around nervously, making sure nobody can overhear. Around when I started getting involved in jailbroken instances. Wait, seriously? You? Aren't those all just for, like, weird porn and stuff that they don't let you do on official instances? No, I mean, yes, there is that, but it's not like that. It's, I can't even explain it. It's art. It's freedom. It's the most incredible medium that's ever been created, and most of the time we just use it for nothing. Like, who cares if you can simulate a steak or a soccer game you couldn't afford to see live? Huh. Where was this level of passion back in high school? So, you're an artist these days, I guess? I mean, I guess. So's Lark, like I said, that's sort of how we met. They're incredibly talented. There's a bit of a community for that sort of thing. Just don't ask about their day job. That's also in the exchange, but in official instances. They simulate concerts, kind of a rotating list of popular bands. There's some boy bands that they've had to do for like the last couple of months that they're sick to death of. Grim. Yeah. Anyway, they're a good friend. They can just be a bit of an acquired taste. Uh-huh. Well, you'll see what I mean, I guess. But they're a good person. I can vouch for that, however much that means to you. The cougar. Oh, Alex? You don't recognize him? Should I? Maybe not. He went to our high school, but I guess we didn't really start hanging out until senior year. We both stuck around to get our advanced certificates. He's a smart guy, believe it or not. He actually got into Megiddo Polytechnic afterwards. No shit? Yeah, but the cost ended up not really being sustainable, even with the loans that he was able to get. Had to leave after one semester. I never really got all the details, but it's a sore subject. Anyway, we sort of drifted in and out of contact a bit, ended up reconnecting more around when I was looking to rent a place. He works for a marketing firm these days. Definitely the life of the party. Always seems to know people. I've never seen him on the job, but I bet that he's pretty good at it. Last month he got us into this warehouse rave down in the well. You ever been to one of those? No. Yeah. But yeah, good dude. Easy to get along with. Wait, who's Derek? You said that these are Derek's clothes? Was he not around yesterday? I was wondering, it didn't look like anybody there was my size. And I'm surprised that you just had a spare interface lying around. No, Ash, he's Amir's boyfriend. Or he was. I don't know. About 2 months ago, he went missing. Not a word to us or Amir. Nothing to his family. Nothing in the morgues. We searched high and low. It's like he just vanished into thin air. Like he just disappeared. Like I did. That's awful. I'm so sorry. He was a good friend. Kind in a way that you don't normally see. But I feel worse for Amir. They were good together. He just hasn't been the same since. Anyway. The rest of the meal passes in relative quiet. I'm not sure how I feel about wearing a dead man's clothes, if that's what happened anyway. Well, it's a hard world. People go missing sometimes. Not all of them get found. We're waiting for the bill when Julian speaks up again. Hey, I just wanted to say this was nice. As wild as this whole situation is, I really am glad that you're back. I've missed this. I remember the two of us at a diner, not terribly unlike this one, years and years ago. 2 or 3 a.m. maybe. Talking about nothing, but really talking about everything. Yeah. So, you still keep up with the guitar? God, suddenly remembering the whole garage band era. Oh, geez, I haven't thought about that in a million years. Not really, if I'm being honest. It was alright, but I don't think music was ever really my thing when you get down to it. I guess I've kind of found different outlets since the exchange stuff and all. Oh. And what about you? Keeping up with the, God, I'm an asshole, sorry. Was it, Taekwondo? Boxing. And, well, I've had a lot else going on. Oh, right. The awkwardness that we'd momentarily defeated descends once more. It was a stupid subject to bring up. We're not kids anymore, and I realize that, in most ways that matter, I really don't know the man in front of me. Mercifully, the check arrives. He pays it, of course, and we head out. The sidewalk narrows enough that we can't walk side by side. Julian's a tall man and it's easy to fall behind his long strides. I'm light on my feet and there is plenty of noise around us. I could slip away in an instant. I don't need to suffer his charity. I don't need to be known. I could just as easily be a ghost story, a specter that returned for a day and a night and was never seen again. I did it once, I can do it again. It would be easy. We're drawing close to a narrow alleyway. I can feel the ground under my feet, keenly conscious of each individual step. I can feel the cool air on my face. I can feel what's coming for me if I walk forward. The pain and failure and sorrow are as certain as being born. I don't want it. I don't want to be hurt. And yet, full that I am, as heavy-laden as I've grown with the weight of my mistakes, I prepare to make one more. The alley passes by, and my feet carry me forward. The clinic's waiting room is cramped but clean. Check-in goes without incident, and it's apparently a slow day since the wait is only 2 hours or so. Of course, the waiting room's full of other people, so I don't think that either of us really feel like picking up our conversation from the diner. We do make some small talk, but after a while, Julian just sits back in his chair and gets involved with something or other on his interface. I start plowing through some old magazines but sneak the occasional glance at him, eyes flickering occasionally to read or track something that I can't see. Something about it raises my hackles. Whatever's on there can't be more important than what's actually going around him. I do eventually relent and plug my borrowed interface into the port at the back of my skull, briefly catching up on the news over the last 2 years. Every individual headline seems like the end of the world, but I don't get the impression that anything's really changed. Go figure, I guess. Finally, they call my name. Well, good luck. I'll be waiting out here. Thanks. The arm at least is straightforward enough. They end up touching up the sealant in places, but it's expected to heal normally. Mentioning that I'm missing 2 years of my life, however, gets a more alarmed reaction. A few harried assistants ferry me around from one test to the other. I sit, stand, raise my arms, lower them, and have a variety of scans and measurements taken. They even have me enter the exchange for a while. It's a pretty simple test instance, and they seem satisfied with my ability to navigate it. Still, then they want me to submit a full body scan, and it's another wait before I can lay back on the machine, fluorescent lights uncomfortably bright above as I'm fed into it. Finally, I'm sat in an exam room, fingertips drumming on my thigh. I don't know what I'm more afraid of, that they're going to tell me my brain is rotting from the inside out, or that I'm made the whole thing up. I get the customary knock without waiting for a response as someone finally enters. Ash Calvert, right? Yeah, that's me. She stares into the middle distance for a moment, presumably going through my file. Well, you've got quite a lot going on. You've only got 15 minutes, so let's get to it. Things are looking about as good as they can be with the arm. Keep an eye on it for any discoloration. Don't pick at the sealant. I'm guessing that you'd rather spend our time on the other issues? Yeah. So, just to review. You woke up late yesterday. As far as you can tell, you have no recollection of the last 2 years. But otherwise, no other cognitive or memory-related symptoms? That's about the speed of it, yeah? I'll be honest with you. The symptoms that you're describing are incredibly unusual, and I think you're going to be on a long road to a diagnosis. You mentioned waking up wearing a hospital gown, but I'm afraid nothing came up in the medical records for you over the past 2 years. As far as the test results, your brain is fine, higher than expected base level activity even on the sections where you were meant to relax. But you've been through a lot. I definitely wasn't thinking much during those parts. I'm still kinda tired and the break was nice, if anything. Well, whatever. So we can rule out most directly physical causes. Your blood work all came back pretty normal too. I'm seeing that you have a hormonal regulator installed, which seems to be working fine. Your exchange port, on the other hand, it's important to understand, issues on that front are very, very rare, outside of damage to the hardware itself. We see Gen 2 issues fairly regularly, of course. It's newer technology, it's massively higher physical and cognitive throughput, and so on, but that's obviously not relevant to your case. But the machine thought form exchange is much older, much more thoroughly tested and iterated on the technology. To tell you the truth, we really only run those diagnostics as a formality. And yours came back strange. My throat tightens. Strange how? Well, that's the tough part. You passed all the basic functionality tests. There's no reason to expect you shouldn't be able to use it, but... Really, the test that we run is just asking the implant to return any self-diagnostic codes and pulling out what we've got from Hearthen corresponding to the codes. Either it's able to return a code that we look up, or it returns nothing, and we know it's just dead, which is at least a pretty simple problem to diagnose. Yours is the first case that I'm aware of where what we got back was junk data, not interpretable. Which I'd usually guess to mean that it's a slightly different kind of dead, except you passed the basic functionality tests. When they had you in the exchange for those tests, you didn't feel anything unusual, right? No worsening of symptoms? No, nothing. So, we at least don't have any reason to believe that the exchange usage itself is at risk. I can feel an itching at the back of my neck. I want to get up and pace and knock things over like a wild animal. What the hell is this supposed to mean? Okay, so you were talking about standard diagnostic codes, right? So exchange implant problems happened. So we can just change it out for a new one, right? Or hell, take it out of me entirely? The overwhelming majority of the time, those codes are resolved with a software update, not relevant in your case, since you're current. Otherwise, it's usually just damage to external, replaceable sections of the hardware. I have to stress again that this is extremely well-tested, safe technology. Cognitive effects like what you're suffering from are practically unheard of. And, of course, the external parts wouldn't be relevant to that. As far as removing it, presuming that you got it in elementary school as standard, you're talking about something that has been fully integrated into the major sections of your brain through many major developmental stages. The damage and the resulting effects of removing it would be catastrophic. The procedure exists, but there isn't a medical ethics board in Megiddo that would approve it outside of a case of life or death. So I'm stuck with this? For the present, you seem to be stable, so let's hope that persists while we look at the next steps. The other possibility, to cover all bases, is that the implant issues are unrelated and we're dealing with a case of dissociative amnesia. On that front, there is little that we can do outside of therapy supporting your adjustment through the period and hoping that you begin to recover your memory and experience reduced symptoms with time. So we probably want to hit both fronts. Get you set up with a therapist, and then also refer your case to a specialist that may be able to better address the exchange port issues. That sound good? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's see. She gets that distant look again, as she presumably reads the schedule. As far as a therapist, we've got some openings in September. For the specialties, we're probably looking at January next year. The blood drains from me. You can't be serious. She looks at me. She's sympathetic. And I wonder just how many versions of this exact conversation that she's had. This person cannot help me. I'm afraid so. The sooner that we get you on the waiting list, the sooner that we can get you seen. Do September 26 and January 14 work for you? Sure, whatever. The confirmation message pings in my interface. Okay, try to keep an eye on any changes in symptoms. We've got about 3 minutes left. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? No, thanks. I'm good. Okay, then we'll see you back here in September. And good luck. Thanks. I feel like they might as well have just operated on me as I amble up to the checkout counter, defeated. Hello. Okay, looks like we've got you in for follow-ups on September 26th and January 14th. That all correct? Yeah. Great. So there's a few tests that we need to bill. Your total for today is going to be 28,000 points. I blanch. Jesus, that could have been most of a month's rent. I've got it. I open my mouth to object. And do what? Go, no thanks. I'd rather just stand here and completely fuck whatever this new start is before it even begins? For what? So I close my mouth and I let him pay. And I follow in his wake as we head towards the exit. So how'd it go? Well, I hope that they let you get your money back on that. Hey, speaking of which, thanks. No worries, but what do you mean? They have no idea. There's some issue with my exchange implant, but they really don't know what. Can't see a specialist for it until January. Or I'm just going crazy, but like, in a normal way. Jesus. That sucks. I'm sorry. It is what it is. The walk afterwards is quiet, and of course, I realize that we're heading back to his house. Hey, you've already done a lot for me, and I'm grateful. I really am, but, you don't... You know... I'm up and moving. I can get going and figure things out. Ash, you don't have anywhere to go. You said as much. At least wait for long enough to figure out what's next, okay? There's no room for an argument to squirm through. Not any good ones anyways. I sigh. Alright. Well, thanks again. It's nothing. I pause as we get to the door. Is it alright if I just take a nap? I think I'm a bit out of it. Yeah, there's gonna be folks downstairs for a while, so just use my room. I'm gonna be busy anyway. I need to talk to them about something. Alright, well, see you in a bit then. See you later. Mercifully, I don't end up encountering anyone else on the way up to Julian's room. The couch was fine, but I think I could just about cry with relief at the prospect of sleeping in an actual bed. What a fucking day. My shoulders slump a bit as the door closes behind me. I'm half tempted to just collapse into bed with my clothes, but I at least take the time to pull off my underwear. There's no hood on the jacket, unlike the one that Julian was wearing. Guess he just likes the look, what with the antlers and all. Now that I think about it, I can see a few scratches that must have been left from the headboard. This world just isn't built for you, huh, Julian? I get that feeling. My eyes wander over from the bed, and I can't help but look around. Unsurprisingly, Julian's room is kept neat. I guess some things don't change, in the same vein that I can see a few pre-Exodus prints and photos hung up. But then, a few look off. I walk closer, curious. It takes me a second to realize that some of these must be pictures taken in the exchange. My gaze flickers from one to the next. Julian's imagination lingers on the natural world pre-Exodus, but isn't limited to it. Impossible landscapes stretch across small prints. Just who have you been growing into all these years apart? There's a few pictures of Julian's family and the other housemates on the dresser. One catches my eye, and my brow furrows as I pick it up. Oh. That must be them. Derek. Poor guy. Him and the Wolverine, Amir. It was one thing to hear about him from Julian, but knowing that I'm wearing his clothes, there's something deeply uncomfortable about seeing him and remembering Julian's sadness when talking about him. I don't want to think about this right now. I sigh and put the picture back down. It's not like there's anything that I can do for him. And I won't be able to do anything for myself if I don't get some rest either. I shed my remaining clothes and crawl into Julian's bed, pulling the covers over me. Bone-deep weariness hits me all at once. The faint whirl of the air conditioning is a relief in its mundanity. I breathe out slowly and let it pull me under. Julian, maybe another day or two? But I'm sorry, this is a bad idea. Well, I mean, hold on. For God's sake, you all saw the state that he was in when we found him. If he can't stay here, he's fucked. I'm not saying that we don't do anything, but there's programs and things out there. I'm sure that we can get him set up with something. Doubtful. This time of the year, shelters are pretty full up in my experience. They're not free anyway. I say he stays. Don't give me that look. I've been around. Okay, sure, but that doesn't really change things. We can figure something or other out, but it isn't exactly fair to expect the rest of us to be cool with some guy crashing here forever. A couple of days maybe. Speak for yourself. If Julian vouches for him, then I have no objection. It makes no real difference to me. Yeah, well, the rest of us leave our rooms sometimes. If the shelter situation is really that bad, then yeah, I'm with Lark and Julian. But yes, let's be honest with ourselves here. A few days most certainly won't be enough. So again, how long are we supposed to be cool with some guy crashing here? This isn't just some guy. I know him. He's not going to take advantage of us. Besides the free rent, I'm not saying that it has to be forever or anything, just enough to heal up and get back on his feet. Julian, where would he even stay? We don't have a spare bedroom. The couch for now, and if it turns into a longer term thing, I don't know, there's space in my room for another single bed. Oh, is that what this is? That one actually heats me up under the collar and I struggle not to shout. Fuck off, Lark. No, it isn't. You can't seriously think that I would take advantage of someone's situation like that. No, you wouldn't. I apologize. That was out of line. Even if we had space for him again, where does this go? Sure, you're saying a few weeks. Well, how long is a few weeks? And what then? Just another few days and then another few weeks and then another few months? It's not like finding him a new place is gonna be easy. I'm sorry, Julian, but I'm just looking out for you two. You're too nice for your own good. Once his arm heals up, he can look for a job and pay rent just like the rest of us. There's nothing stopping him. Nothing except the 2-year resume gap. But, I don't know. It wouldn't feel right just to leave him twisting in the wind. It's a fucked up situation. Something will work out eventually. He's not gonna give up. Isn't he? Do you really know him? You said it so yourself. It's been forever. People change, Julian. Even with little interaction that we've had, there's something there. Something that I knew once, since tempered and reshaped, but enduring all the same. I'm certain. I can't know if it's going to work out as far as him being able to pay rent, but he won't just not try, I promise. Well, I'm sorry, but it doesn't change my vote. Julian, think. Whatever this big episode he had was, what if it happens again? What is he capable of? That's a good point. We have no reason to think that he did or would hurt anyone. If it comes to that, I hate the words about to come out of my mouth, but I know it's the only way. If he gets worse, we can revisit things. I'm not going to ask you to take risks on his behalf. And I'll take responsibility for whatever happens. But again, the worst thing that we have any reason to believe might happen is that he disappears again. He doesn't deserve to be treated like a ticking time bomb just based off of speculation. I suppose. Come on, guys, really? Julian, I feel bad for the guy, I really do, but none of us asked to be involved in this. This just isn't fair to ask of the rest of us. Yeah, you pay more for the bigger room, but we all pay rent here. And you know, suddenly we're paying the same amount for a smaller space because there's this guy sleeping on the couch that you're absolutely 100% sure going to be too nice to kick out if it comes to that. Nothing he's saying is exactly unfair. I chew on his words. There has to be a way. I mean, I am already paying more. Okay, you know what? You're right, that's fair. Okay, I'm glad that So, until he actually can pay his share of the rent, I will. We can call the couch equivalent to one of the regular bedrooms. Rent gets split more ways, your share goes down. And, if something does happen, if he has some kind of episode and something gets damaged or goes missing, I'll pay you back for it. And like I said, we can revisit things. Hold on. It's not exactly fair for you to be suddenly paying more. We should just be deciding this one way or the other together. I mean, I'm not gonna object if there's another solution or anything, but if the rent is what's an issue, it doesn't have to be. Are you quite sure about this? You said it yourself. You don't know how long it could take for him to get a job. I am. As you wish, then. It seems fine by me. Well, I am outvoted anyway. I guess that's that. But honestly, I'm gonna be locking my door and I really don't think that it's gonna work out. Fair enough. Well, I do love it when we can come to a consensus. We talk a little more about logistics, but the decision is made. Afterwards, I feel like I've run a marathon. Ash is still sleeping, so I go onto the balcony to get some air. I lean my forehead against the railing, letting my breathing slow. The sun gets brought down early this time of the year, deep reddish illumination lighting up the well. Some wetness from yesterday's rain still lingers, the streets cleaned and shining anew. They'll dirty up in time, and then we'll clean them once more. There, at the edges of our balcony, on the edge of our home, on the edge of the well, in the midst of our city. For just a moment, I let my mind go blank. As I watch the stars turn on. Oh, okay. You've reached the end of the current build. Thanks for playing. Hello, Faintly here. I hope you enjoyed our time with Chapter 2. Now that production has fully switched over to regular update mode, we're hoping that future gaps between chapters will be a bit shorter. Thanks for your patience. We've already are hard at work on Chapter 3 and it's currently expected to enter beta in mid-late July. If you enjoyed your time with the game, we'd be very grateful if you could leave a review on our itch.io page or just recommend it to a friend. Reviews really help the project to reach more people. If you'd like to support the project even further, you can do so on Patreon. Patreon gets early access to builds, full resolution assets, and behind-the-scenes content, including CG previews. You can also find us on Blue Sky or join the community on Discord and chat with some of the cool folks supporting the project. That's all for now. See you around. I saw a Jaker on there. Okay, so thoughts. As with the previous update where the whole scene where Julian was basically dying while hooked up and the boss just kept shoving more and more and more work at him despite Julian going like, hey, wait a minute, wait, this is overloading me, please stop. I can't do all of this. And it kind of felt like a commentary on corporate America and stuff like that. The whole healthcare scene with Ash kind of felt like another commentary on the healthcare industry as a whole, because at least if you live in America, you kind of know that trying to get a diagnosis on just anything is horrible. You have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and ladders, and then when you're getting referrals, it's not like, oh, okay, you can go see the specialist like, next week or something like that. No, it's like, you can go see the specialist in a few months from now. If they have any space. If you're lucky. And then like the whole price of it. You would think living in a more futuristic version of our world that healthcare would be a non-issue, or at the very least would be more affordable. But no. It's always it's a for-profit thing. At least it is right now. In the US. It's probably still gonna be like that for a while. What else? I mean, I guess that's mostly it right now. It's very curious as to why Ash lost those 2 years, and recalling from the very, very, very beginning of this visual novel, the part where Ash, well, I mean, we're assuming that it is indeed Ash, sneaks into this like empty warehouse and they gets under the tarp. Actually, yeah, it's them, because they mentioned the tarp. When were they doing that? Were they doing that before the 2 years or after the 2 years? And why exactly were they... Well, I mean, they mentioned why they ran away, but like, was there something deeper there? And also, is their disappearance connected to the disappearance of this Derek person? Where is it going to be that Amir's going to get into his head that, oh, well, Ash disappeared for 2 years. Does that mean that Derek is going to suddenly reappear in 2 years' time? Is it going to be something like that that's going to happen, you know, with Amir? Is Alex going to be an issue where he's going to be like very super uncomfortable that this person is here in his space, in his shared space? And like Julian said, like if having Ash right here on the couch is an issue, I can just stick him in my room. Yeah. Also, like they said, a 2-year gap in your resume it's pretty bad. Imagine a few more extra years, that's even worse. Anyway, so what are your thoughts so far? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you'd like to play Underhaven yourself, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself. They do have the Patreon, as they said, where you get, you know, early access to builds of Underhaven, and, you know, all the other extras that they mentioned. And yeah, do that if you want to support them like Bajaker does, apparently. What else? Also, if you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member. There is a link down in the description, or depending on what platform you're watching the videos, then you should see a little link down below the video. But yeah, like I said, it helps support the channel, supports me. It is very graciously appreciated. Also, you know, you could support through Ko-fi in case you can't support through channel memberships or whatever. It doesn't get you early access to the videos as they're being scheduled, but it's appreciated. If I could figure out a way to give you early access, I would, but unfortunately, there is no connection between Ko-fi and YouTube, so... what else? Oh yeah, Throne, in case you're feeling extra generous. You know, I do have stuff on there. You don't have to if you don't want to, but, you know, there is stuff there. Anyways, but yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.